Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of Virtue and Vice right here on the BigVitoBrand.com and also over on WrestlingWithWrestling.com, Andre Corbeil's YouTube channel. I am Virtue, being joined once again by the remarkable Robbie Vice. What's up?
I am remarkable. Nothing, man. We watched a fantastic match on Sunday, and I think you want to talk about that because everything else that's happened outside of that's been pretty much a bummer in wrestling. It's been pretty boring, but we had something big happen. We had something big.
So let's go back to Clash of Champions. We knew that Roman Reigns was going to successfully defend the Universal title against Jey Uso, but what we didn't know is how they were going to deliver the match in such a way that a lot of people were captivated just by the pace of it, the drama, hearing what Roman was saying. We got Tribal Chief, head of the table. Jimmy came out, threw the towel in. Heyman was there to put the lay over Roman when it was done. And it really, a lot of people said, hey, this kind of reminded me of Rocky IV. Apollo Creed died. Rocky was holding him. They showed that. And then, of course, later on, you had Drago standing there looking down at him, which is what Roman basically looked like after the match. And it's well done. When you can take a popular 80s moment that was iconic with fighting, with boxing, and recreate that to wrestling today, things are kicking on all cylinders. And look, Rob, Roman Reigns has got a lot of flack being the force-fed babyface over the years with the Vince McMahon handcuffs on, okay? I always said if you take him off, this guy can shine. You have some interesting points on why this guy has shined and has always had that ability. Not necessarily just because he's with Paul Heyman now, like it's Paul Heyman's doing. So do you want to elaborate on why you think Roman is performing so well with this new role, in your opinion?
Yeah, so a lot of people know that Roman's related to The Rock. That's common knowledge, and that lineage is Yokozuna, the Wild Samoa. I mean, that whole lineage. Basically, anyone who's ever been Samoan in wrestling besides Samoa Joe has come from one family, right?
Yes,
I mean, that's
a great point.
It's true. They have been in the business for well over 100 years. They have been the backbone of major wrestling companies for the better part of 100 years. They have more champions in that family than any family combined. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. So you have so much experience with him. And then on top of that, you have all the modern experience. You have, obviously, he has connections to The Rock. He talks to The Rock all the time. You brought that up in the review, and it was a good point. But what I'll say on top of that is Dusty Rhodes and him came up with the current gimmick that he's using now. Go to YouTube, look up Roman Reigns boss promo. It's from NXT. And it's obviously he's definitely more polished now because it was well over 10 years ago. But you can see the cockiness. You can see this arrogant boss persona that him and Dusty Rhodes created. And he's just kind of modified it, probably from his family's influence, looking at what, some of his ancestors did, aunts, uncles, grandparents, all that stuff. And they've created this new persona with Roman. And I'm not saying that Paul Heyman has nothing to do with it, because Paul Heyman is a wrestling genius.
He definitely gives him earworms. And by the way, that whole thing you just said with Roman had a bit of that with the Shield when he was, he didn't have that pressure of being the guy yet. And if you go back and watch some Shield stuff, you can kind of see that as well. It was once he was pushed to the top as Vince's guy is when it got hard for him, because he had to do things Vince's way.
That's 100% correct. Him holding his cousin's head, staring into the camera, telling them, "Call me Chief." I got goosebumps. It's been a long time. Like, the last time that I really cared about a match like that with like family, it was probably the first Kane Undertaker match, Austin HBK. There's been a couple of times where I just got this feeling watching the match or the build up for the match where it was something special. This reminds me of at SummerSlam when Cena got the curb stomped, no pun intended, to Seth Rollins by Brock Lesnar in like 3 or 4 minutes. It was just like, it stood out. And this was a coming out party for Roman Reigns, because if you do not think that he is the best sports entertainer in the world right now, you are absolutely 100% incorrect.
And I hope they have long-term plans with this, which they should, because I want to see this when the pandemic is over and fans are back in the arena. I mean, on the No DQ review, we were talking about Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in Hollywood would be fitting in Hollywood because of what The Rock does.
Sure.
Imagine that, who is the Tribal Chief? who
That's
is the
bigger
head
than
of the
Hogan
table.
Rock.
Like, what's your thoughts here? We talked about it on the review, but elaborate for the BigVitoBrand.com and WrestlingWithWrestling.com on a potential Rock versus
Well, this is
Roman
actually
Reigns.
exclusive because looking back at the review, I didn't talk about this potential match at all. I just talked about the previous statement that I made.
Saving
So
exclusive for right here
saving
from Rob.
saving it exclusive. I think Roman Reigns versus The Rock, the tribal chief with The Rock as a face. I can't think of a match again in probably the last 15 years that I think is going to sell like that. If that was in a giant stadium out west, it's going to sell out. It's going to be a big match. People are going to pay for that. People aren't going to bootleg that nearly as much because they're going to want to see that in real time in full HD. Man, storytelling wise, I can't think like this is. I personally think that would be like Hogan Andre level of just epic. And if they tell the story right, they can really just push Roman even further up there to be the first person since CM Punk who could really just take the company by the horns and just run with it with no handcuffs, no restrictions. We are now seeing the beginning, if they do it right, of probably the biggest superstar since Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Dude, the poster, Roman's tattoo, I think, is on his right side. Rock's is on his left side. I mean, the symmetry is even there. You know what I mean? Like the mirror, the like facing off, the way. I mean, it's like this is designed to happen. It's like it's been planned within the family as a potential thing for years. And look, Roman was in a movie of The Rock's. Again, I'm not saying Heyman doesn't have influence on Reigns, but you don't tell me Roman picks his phone up and can call The Rock, and The Rock's going to answer and talk to him, and they're going to shoot the shit. They're family. That's how it works.
And they're a close family. They're a very close family.
In the event, because, whatever, like Aaron Rift mentioned, with The Rock's insurance, can he do this? Having to, move your schedule around with Hollywood. And if you plan it well ahead of time, it can easily be done. What's a great consolation prize for Roman at a WrestleMania? Just if The Rock can't happen or if it's got to be delayed. Well, it's John Cena. John Cena challenging Roman to go for John Cena's record, beating Flair's number. Roman is a heel. I mean, come on, dude. What's your thoughts on that as a consolation big event?
That's a hell of a consolation, man. I feel like the only match to come close to Roman and Rock is going to be Roman Cena, and that's just for the fact that you mentioned it on the review. Cena going for his Ric Flair championship, you know what I mean, to just beat the record, to be the greatest champion. It could be a comeback story. He could get into kind of a rut, when he comes back, start building up, and then Roman just comes in and just shits on his parade. And this slowly, if they build it slow, man, they could really just have this redemption storyline. And I think at the end they should still put Roman over, have him cheat to win just a little bit, but have Roman do a heel tactic because maybe he just wasn't good enough for John Cena in that moment, and he needed to do a low blow or something just to protect Cena. But my God, man, I feel anyone could get a good match out of Roman right now because Roman's the hottest thing in wrestling.
And because of this, we've just talked The Rock and Cena. I got a third one, and it's Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan with his WrestleMania 30 moment. Mm-hmm. The WrestleMania 31 moment, even though it was the Intercontinental title ladder match, he really hasn't had a big Mania moment since then. I mean, where, he put Kofi over. But I'm talking about he would be the babyface going in. I wouldn't even mind him beating Roman if Roman held it all the way to Mania. That would be epic. I mean, Daniel Bryan and Roman had a great match at Fastlane before in the past. So what's your take on that as a third possible big type Mania feud if the other two can't happen?
Man,
and the Bryan thing probably very well could happen. They were going to do a program with them last year and they nixed it because Meltzer opened his mouth on the leak. Is what I think happened. Go ahead.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there for a great match. I'm not ready because I'm fully admitting I'm a huge mark right now for Roman Reigns, and I can't even fathom him losing right now. But if he has to lose to someone, and if it's done right,
Daniel can still do the feud.
Right. No, for sure. No, I even think they could do something where Daniel Bryan does have a redemption story and a victory there. But I think their styles are similar, or their styles aren't similar, but I think they would work well together. Roman could with someone smaller like Daniel Bryan, that gives him an opportunity to use some more of his power moves, because Roman's a big guy, but he's not like Drew McIntyre. So I think if he wrestles someone, dude, or like even if they called up and pushed right Adam Cole, or a smaller guy like that who can work, would make Roman look like a god. But I think all three of those are money, and those are all some less probable than others. But I think the John Cena and the Daniel Bryan one for sure could be something that they would do at WrestleMania without fans there, and it's to be good. Yeah.
Now I want to be careful because there are some that I don't want. I don't want Goldberg. I don't want Goldberg because they never happened because Roman went home, right?
Yeah.
And Goldberg ended up getting job to Strowman. So now that took any effect that the Goldberg. I mean, they sacrificed the Fiend for this. I don't want Goldberg. Like, please tell me we're not going to get Goldberg versus Roman. I don't think we will because Roman went home and Goldberg. But like, come on, man, it's WWE. Could like a Saudi Arabia? Oh, what do you think?
Dude, as long as we never have to see Goldberg and his awkward teenage shirtless son in the ring again, I don't really care. I think Goldberg would be a mistake. I think, and on the same note, I think the Fiend would be a mistake because you can't have Roman lose. The Fiend has taken the losses that he can sustain before he starts being looked at as a jobber. He is not beyond repair yet, the Fiend, but my God, man, they really need to pull something out and give him a series of definitive wins, because he is dangerously close to mid-card comedy act. I could see him starting to dance a little bit, and then all of a sudden somebody Call Your Mama or whatever that stupid Funkadactyl song starts playing, and him and Alexa Bliss are out there just getting boogieing down. We're so close to it.
We've talked about people we don't want to see face Roman, people that we do. How about an emerging star get out of this and using Roman as a catalyst? Garza?
I love Garza.
Now, I was saying Big E, even though he's been around, but he kind of was a singles, competitor, was the Intercontinental Champion, but then he got put into the New Day and they were so successful and Vince McMahon just never wanted it to end. I still consider Big E, if he got pushed to the main event and got over, he could still be, even though he's been with the company for a long time, he could be a new breakout top main eventer, as I wrote in my recent Virtue's Rage. What's your take on a Big E versus Roman type of match? Not necessarily WrestleMania, but just a good feud to help get Big E over to the next level.
He would have to win the feud to really, or else I think if Big E could go over in a big way and they could commit to him, I think that would be great. But I don't think whoever goes up against him is going to go over. I would be very hard pressed to see him lose at WrestleMania this year. I will say though, the Hurt Business is probably one of my favorite things happening in wrestling right now. And I would love to see Bobby Lashley go against Roman. And obviously Roman would eventually win. And I think that Lashley's established enough that it wouldn't hurt him too bad. But I just feel like, I don't know. He got such, do you remember? So
you would consider like Lashley as a face? They push the Hurt. Are the Hurt Business faces now? They're against Retribution.
I think they're in that APA zone where they're just like kind of going out and kicking people's asses. Don't mess with them. They're at the early stages of the APA before they were like fun loving. Okay, give us money and we'll punch people for you. But yeah, I don't know.
Dude, and I'm telling you, it's all revolving around Roman Reigns and what he's currently doing in this gimmick. No Vince McMahon handcuffs. Now, some people might say, yeah, it's still scripted by Vince McMahon. He's the final say. He's out there with Heyman. Everything, sure. Roman's still being protected. Well, then how come people are talking about Roman in a different way that they've never even people that have hated Roman are making excuses of why he's so great now, saying that it's Heyman or saying that it's this or that. And to me, that speaks volumes because they're noticing. They don't want to admit it yet, but they're noticing that he's talented.
Well, there's a saying that we have here in Ohio. I don't know if they have it in the rest of the country, but we call people like that. Have you heard of this word? They're called idiots.
Oh,
yeah.
10T.
Yeah, the ID 10Ts. Yeah. I don't know, man. People are going to hate on Roman because here's the thing. As an adult, as a man, I can admit when I'm wrong about something, but you have children who pretend to be adults on the internet who refuse to ever budge when they're wrong. And those are the people that are clinging to the fact that Roman could never be anything because they bitched about him for so many years that they will do everything in their power not to give him credit for anything he does that's good.
Yeah. And my role is to prove them otherwise. And if they never want to agree with me, that's fine, but I'm not going to let down. You know what I mean? And everybody knows on Twitter, I'm a certain way. I'm different in my articles. I'm different on video, but Twitter is a fun platform. But hey, that's the fun of it, right? Sometimes we got to add a little extra to entertain ourselves, especially when not all wrestling's great right now. But boy, sure, Roman Reigns has been. That's for sure, man. And I just don't want WWE to. I don't want Vince McMahon to say, oh, this has been great, but now I don't want him to pull the trigger on Roman becoming a babyface again too soon. Because that's what this is all designed to do, is when Roman becomes a face again, hey, this is the most over he's ever been. Let's sell the merch. This is what I always wanted him to be. They need to let this thing ride for a long time. And I just hope that they don't let it just go through Mania and then it's over, not even a year.
Do they give him a faction? I feel this is what I think is going to happen. I think the Usos will fall in line. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, hey, it's going to be like a, hey, blood's thicker than water thing. But I think he's going to beat them into submission, into being his henchman. I think he's, you know what I mean? I think he's just going to be like, this is what it is. You protect me now. I think they'll get tag team titles out of it. You'll have their faction run around with all the gold.
What I've always wanted, Robbie, the Roman Empire, whatever they call it.
The Roman Empire, yeah.
But,
sure.
Dude. All right. Well, hey, we don't always have to get our full 20 minutes because, I want to get this hot onto the press. This is a great discussion about Roman. It needs to get over on all these sites on the internet. So with that said, Robbie, anything else you would like to add, or you can just go ahead and try to do your plugs that you never like doing?
I don't like doing them.
I know.
Let's see. I know we talked about this on a review. I think Dominic Mysterio is terrible. I think all of the Mysterios should not have microphones in front of their faces. The night vision thing I legitimately laughed out loud. I thought that was great. It was campy, but I loved it. And Rip Animal.
Kind of reminded me of Silence of the Lambs at the end. There was that night.
Oh yeah, with Ball. Yeah. And he touches the hair. Yeah, that's good stuff. But you guys can follow me nowhere because I don't want anyone to follow me. But what I do recommend is you guys follow Virtue, follow Noel, follow Vito. Follow a lot of these guys. Andre Corbeil, there's a lot of great people to follow out there, but I just don't feel that many people. Look, listening to me is a privilege. Reading what I have to say is a privilege. If you can find it, then good for you. But I'm not giving it out for free. I'm not doing it.
Well, thank you. But hey, by the way, people, you can follow him on Twitter at NoDQVice. You can follow me on Twitter, troll with me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Go over to my Facebook page, nodq.com/virtue. But another great topic. Roman Reigns is the head of the table. He is the tribal chief. And I can't wait to see him each and every week. And boy, I hope those SmackDown ratings start going up and up and up. I know the last couple of weeks they went down a bit, but nonetheless, we still need to get wrestling back to normalcy anyway before we can really judge true ratings. But all I know is, even though SmackDown is on Fox, it is Friday nights. Come on, who watches wrestling on Friday nights? Raw's on Monday night, which is the wrestling night. It's always has been until these recent Wednesday night wars. But Raw does 300,000 less than SmackDown. That's the number that I always say Romans makes a difference. With that said, thank you for watching right here on the BigVitoBrand.com, also WrestlingWithWrestling.com. That is Robbie Vice. I am Virtue. And you know what? We'll be back and we'll do this again. So stay tuned and we'll see you next time.